Friday, and that means talkback time here at BFD. And this week, we're addressing questions from Monday's video about the issue of hunger in America. When it comes to food, there's one man that we come to, and one man alone. His name is Willy Blackmore, and he is TakePart.com's food editor. So good to see you again. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, indeed. Now, our first comment is the following. We should never have a hunger problem in this country, but it's easy to see why when so many people aren't producing crops to actually feed people anymore. So why are so many farmers producing crops that aren't producing food for people?
The bottom line is that makes them more money.
Okay.
There's kind of a long tradition in America of commodity farming where you're growing something that's not necessarily geared at making people's lives better, but making a lot of money.
And we don't have a really great situation right now with the present commodity crop of corn, right?
I believe that corn is the #1 crop in the country, and it is true that very, very little of it ends up becoming food. Like the typewriter corn on the cob thing that you eat, like sweet corn when you get into the summer, that's not what we grow a lot of. So here's kind of an interesting breakdown from 2007 in terms of the entire American production of corn, what it went into. 42% was used for animal feed, 22% was for ethanol production, 70% went into export, and 9% was used for domestic consumption, and the remaining 10% goes into a surplus.
And to get even more complicated, I challenge you to explain farm subsidies to me in 25 words or less.
Okay. The underlying concept of farm subsidies is to control prices, to have a reserve, and to have certain means of supporting farmers when they're not making enough, or to give them insurance when they have crop failures.
That's the ideal.
Yeah,
What's the reality? What's the reality?
The reality is that you have the biggest subsidies going to the biggest crops, the biggest commodity crops, things like corn, like wheat, like cotton, actually still tobacco. In Iowa, for corn alone, I have to look at this number very closely because there are like so many zeros after it. Almost $15 trillion in subsidies for corn in Iowa between 1995 and 2011. At the end of the day, the little guy doesn't really get a fair shake in terms of the subsidy program. And you know, people say, well, subsidies are socialism. But they're more like corporate welfare because it's not the government supporting people, it's the government supporting corporate interests.
Right.
There's not a broccoli subsidy that I know of. There's not a tomato subsidy that I know of.
Things that are the healthiest are the ones that are not getting the subsidies.
Yeah,
so they're more expensive
and
for
so people say
to purchase, right?
People say, you know, well, I can't afford to eat healthy because to buy these highly perishable items, like fruits and vegetables, to buy them is expensive and it costs more, but then to buy, you know, a hamburger, the reason that, you know, a slider costs 99 cents is largely in part to the subsidy system and kind of the inequitable way it's paid out. And it's not that corn products are cheap because it's good for people to eat that much corn. It's cheap because it's good for the people that are growing it and that are making money off of the fact that it's in everything.
Well, it's slightly more than 25 words, but I'll let it slide.
Sorry.
Thank you so much for your time, Willy. I think we've all got a lot to digest on this issue. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Yeah. For a much deeper look, check out the movie A Place at the Table in theaters today, and click the link in the description below to support America's anti-hunger programs. For BFD, I'm David Park. Be sure to subscribe.